Hi, this is Phoenix, and I'm going to talk about the mini outreach that I did with my squad with three other members yesterday with the Legacy Initiative. Um, I want to first start off by just saying how grateful I was to be able to do it. Um, I kind of had a vision, um, and the vision was doing a mini outreach. I'm very grateful for the outreaches that we do with Legacy Initiative once a month every Saturday. But I was noticing that sometimes it felt a little rushed, and there wasn't because there were so many people and it had to be organized so much. And I was thinking a much smaller crew and scaling back the amount of people would really help, so that way we could interact with the homeless and do kind of outreach as I'd envisioned, as I'd wanted to do for a long time, but hadn't been able to do because I'd been blocked by various organizations. And so how happy I was to finally be able to go with three other people, and Ted included, Tracy, and then Jason, and be able to pass out necessary supplies. So we passed out some hygiene supplies, such as soap and toothpaste, and we also passed out some Cliff Bars. And it was really cool because I got to lead, and so it was nice to be put in a role of leadership. So I want to talk about the outreach and the various experiences that we had and my subjective experience of it. Um, of course, I'm grateful that I got to do it. And I wanted to say that one of the reasons why I do the outreach work that I do, and want to do outreach work like this is because I want to be able to not necessarily, I want to be able to be part of the community, and I want to be and part of the community of the homeless, but also incorporate them into the community and let them know that they're part of our community, and remind them of that. Um, every time that I go downtown to hang out with the homeless, as I like to call it, and describe it, I'm always struck by the conditions that they're living in. And it makes me sad to see all of those things. And that's one reason why I do the work that I do, is because I want to help, to use Legacy's phrase, I want to restore dignity. But even more than that, I basically want to show them that I care for them and that they're a part of our community, and that just because they're in a rough spot, and just because they're in unfair conditions doesn't mean that we need to turn a blind eye. Now, it was a good experience. Like I said, I was the leader of the squad, and that was nice. And I tried to initiate conversation with many of the people that we talked, and for whatever reason, I keep forgetting the whole issue of trust. So I guess, and this is probably because I have a romanticized notion of the homeless population, but it's kind of this idea where I just expect them to open up to me. Um, Maybe not about like their life and everything, but at least open up and feel comfortable with me. And Yesterday I was reminded again, much needed reminder, that that's not true. And it's because of this issue of trust. You can't just expect homeless people, as I've been trying to learn and instill in my mind, to just open up and trust you. Um, and at one point, I even heard that it was said that people were asking who are the guys in the vests, and so that was kind of um, showing our outsider status. And I'm mentioning this because, sure, this issue of trust is a major thing, and we definitely want to work on that. But I think that the issue of trust has a deeper philosophical implication. I won't go too deep, but I will say that what this means for me and what that implication is, I would say, is this idea that there's a reason why these people don't trust outsiders, people from organizations such as from Legacy, or people from upper class areas. There's a reason why they don't trust, and that's why they say stuff like, "Who are the guys in the vests?" Because they wonder, like, because of that whole outsider status. And I think that that's important to keep in mind, because what we want to do is we want to think about why they feel that way. How have they been treated in such a way that has led them to feel that way? And I think that's part of the reason why I want to be able to openly connect with homeless folk and be able to engage in conversation with them is because I want to be able to find a way to let them feel comfortable and to help them to feel comfortable and to feel inspired to want to talk to us and to understand that they are a part of our community and that that's very important. And indeed, that is a really deep implication that comes out of these issues of trust is, that they feel threatened by outsiders. They feel threatened by people that aren't part of their community. And I think that, as I brought up in the past in various pieces I've written and discussions I've had, that is a major issue. Is the fact that there's such a divide between the general public and even organizations and the homeless population. And I think that we've got to fix that. And so the question that I keep asking is, what can we do to help the homeless feel welcome, to feel like they're part of the community? What can we do to facilitate a comfortable environment? It seems to me that based off the way that they're treated, the homeless people are treated, this environment isn't facilitated. And of course, if you think about it, it can't be really facilitated when you're on the streets because it's such a rough environment. And that's what I learned yesterday. I think that, just to be clear, I had kind of a romanticized notion that if I was doing outreach in this proper way, smaller scale, organized, that people would trust us because they would see us as like people that are outreaching and like doing work. But that wasn't quite the experience that I had. And I'm starting to understand that it's because, again, it's these issues of trust, and we really need to work on that. And we need to find ways to facilitate comfortable interactions. And I'm definitely not criticizing it at all. I mean, I understand why they would feel that way because, of course, the streets are not the most welcome place, and there's so much chaos, and there's just things that happen all the time that are really troubling. And again, that's another reason why I care. Um, I also wanted to talk about my own personal uncertainty about it. I have to admit, a few times when I was talking to people, I kind of wasn't sure what to say. We had good conversations. They were very superficial. We didn't go into detail, but that was fine because I just introduced who I was, that I'm part of Legacy and what I was doing. But I had some personal uncertainty because I was like, I don't want to like invade their space. I want to be respectful. I want to be treat them with dignity and let them feel dignified. And all of those things were really important to me. But I was uncertain because I was like, am I doing the right thing? And so that's something that I'm going to have to continue to work with. But that's why this experience was really important because it allowed me to take initiative and take charge and to try to learn what I need to do to be able to be an effective outreach person. Um, and since unfortunately, no organization besides Legacy wants me to be able to do outreach work for them because they devalue me because I am disposable, and I think the phrase is expendable, and so they don't necessarily need me. But I'm glad that Legacy appreciates me and allows me to do these things because they're very important learning experiences. So again, there was just that personal uncertainty, but I don't want to paint it all like it was all uncertain, and that the uncertainty was always bad. So for instance, there was one person who I talked to. I won't say his name, but he was a homeless guy, and I was amazed at just how kind he was, how friendly he was, and my impression, I could be wrong, but my impression was he wanted to engage in conversation, but because, like I said, there are those gaps between the public and between the homeless, we both weren't necessarily sure how to engage in conversation. And that's something that I need to work on, refine, and continue to improve. Um, but basically, I was just thinking about like I was amazed at how kind he was, and it's really remarkable that like these people live in these unfortunate situations and circumstances, and yet they're just such kind people with good hearts, and that's not seen. And so even though I wasn't able to learn more about like um, his various situation, or I wasn't able to learn more about like, you know, or he wasn't able to learn more about me and like what I do, So the fact that I'm a writer, I didn't mention that, though that would actually be a good thing to mention in the future that I'm a writer too, to try to engage in conversation. Um, the point is, I was really, really amazed at how kind he was, and it shows that like if there was a way that we could build that trust, then people like this would feel more comfortable opening up, and they would want to have a conversation with us because they realize that we're their friend. And I think that that's really important to keep in mind is we want to be their friend. That's kind of what I imagine with outreach. Based off the little bit that I know of how outreach is done with institutions, with most institutions is it's very formal. It's probably not. There's professionalism and boundaries and the like. And of course, the boundaries are important. I'm not saying that, but I think what bothers me is the idea of professionalism and not treating the person as a friend. And that's because that's the way any institution is, and that's kind of what I want to change with my vision of doing this outreach, because I think that it's really important that we show that we're a friend. And so again, I was just amazed at how kind he was. And there was another lady too who I gave her some Cliff Bars and some hygiene supplies, and she literally hugged my legs, and I was like, I was touched by it, but I didn't realize how touched I was by it until it was mentioned why it was such a beautiful gesture. Because my thought was, I'm not doing anything. There's no reason why you need to reduce yourself to this. Like, not in the sense that it was like degrading to her to do that, but I felt like she had every right to like hug me. Like she didn't have to hug my legs. She could have hugged me. Like I wasn't, she didn't have to be um, in that situation. I don't know how else to say that, but it didn't seem fair to her. And I was just like, I'm just trying to be nice. I mean, there's no reason why you have to thank me this much. But she was just so very grateful, and I think that that's what's very touching about helping the homeless population is they really are grateful. There is some trouble, not a lot. Yeah, there is. I mean, it depends on the circumstance, but there can be some trouble. That's the point. But um, like I said, you're going to run into more people who are kind on the streets and more people who are very, very, at the very least, decent and have good hearts. And that's what we need to keep in mind. And that's another reason why I just refuse to turn a blind eye to the homeless because of various things and because it makes me sad that these people feel degraded in so many instances. Um, and I don't think that that's fair, that they feel that way. And that's why when I was just giving Cliff Bars, I was just like, there's no reason why. I appreciate your display of appreciation, but you don't have to do that. It's not required at all. I'm just doing this as a courtesy and to improve community and to be there for others and to bridge the gaps. So I wanted to say too, there was another person who, and this again goes to show to the character of many homeless people, but we wanted to give her a Cliff Bar, and she was basically just like, no, give it to someone who needs it more, and she wouldn't take it, even though she hadn't eaten all day, and I thought that that was really amazing. And again, it just goes to show to the character of these people, how they're not selfish in the slightest. I mean, I don't want to overgeneralize because there can be corruption in any place, as I say, but the idea is that like you can see the character of many, many homeless people and how they're very, very kind, and to them less is more, and I think that that's amazing and very beautiful. We also ran into an old homeless friend, and that was really, really fun. I was very grateful for that, and he's very articulate. I've seen him before and talked to him before, and he's very articulate, and it's amazing the things that he says. And the most important point that he told me that stands out is his idea of the homeless as a community. And so basically, it's this idea where like they really are like their own population, their own society, and they may live on the fringes of society, but they've come together and banded together to become their own community. And I think that that's what we need to respect. And as an outreach person, um, I plan on respecting that, respecting them as being their own community because they all need to look out for each other. And I was even saying how I feel bad that there's so many pressures from like, political leaders and from businesses and from people in general, general citizens, and then people who participate in various crimes, such as drug dealers and just all the various problems. And it really isn't fair to the homeless community, which deserves better. And I firmly believe that. So again, I just wanted to say that I'm very glad that I could do this, and I hope to continue to do this in the future, continue to partner with Legacy, and continue to see where we go. Um, but I just thought I would talk about the experiences that I had and that we had, and why it's so beautiful and touching, and this is why I do what I do, because I care. Again, this is Phoenix, and thank you.